Okay, moving on to question 4. So, first I want you to consider this question. What is the square root of 3 squared? Well, we know that 3 squared is 3 times 3, and 3 times 3 is 9, right? So the square root of 9 is 3. The shortcut is, if someone asks me what is the square of 3 squared, I can just say it's equals to 3. Because in math, the square root and square, they cross each other out. So that's the algebra operation to get rid of the square or square root. Okay, so square and square root cancel each other out. In math. So that's what we need to know for question 4. 4a. The square root of x equals to 3. To solve this question, to solve for x, we can just raise both sides to the power of 2, because square and square root, they cross each other out. So now we are left with x equals to 3 squared. So x equals to 3 times 3, x equals to 9. That's the answer. 9 is the answer. B, square root of x equals to 6. So again, if I want to get rid of this square root, I will just square both sides. Once again, the square root and square will cross each other out. We get x equals to 6 squared. And 6 squared is 36. Just 6 times 6 is 36. C, the square root of x equals to 18. Same idea, we just square both sides. So the square and square root cross each other out. We get x equals to 18 squared. And 18 times 18 is 324. D, square root of x equals to 16. Again, we will just raise both sides to the power of 2. Because square and square root cross each other out, we get x equals to 16 squared. And 16 times 16 is 256. E, the square root of x equals to 4. Square root of x equals to 4. Raise both sides to the power of 2. We get x equals to 4 squared. And 4 times 4 is 16. So 4 squared is 16. And then F, square root of x squared equals to 4. So the square and square root cross each other out already. We will just get x equals to 4. And that's the answer. X was equals to 4. G, square root of x equals to the square root of 4. We can raise both sides to the power of 2. Square and square root cross each other out. We get x equals 2. So on the other side also, square root and square cross each other out. We just get x equals to 4. H, the square root of x squared equals to the square root of 4. So square and square root cross each other out. We just get x equals to the square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. I, the square root of x equals to 9. We can raise both sides to the power of 2. Square root and square cross each other out. We get x equals to 81 because 9 squared is 81. J, square root of x squared equals to 9. So square and square root cross each other out, and we get x equals to 9, right? And then K, square root of x equals to the square root of 9. We can raise both sides to the power of 2. Square root and square cross each other out. Square root and square cross each other out. We get x equals to 9. And the last one, L. The square root of x squared equals to the square root of 9. So square root and square cross each other out already. we get x equals to 3 because the square root of 9 is 3. And that's it for question 4. I'll see you in question 5.